I asked a question about gay marriage. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised I didn't get a straight answer. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. So a little while ago, I asked people to explain to me exactly why it was that traditional marriage was something that religious people were fighting so damn hard for, why they couldn't just say, oh, fine, go ahead and get married if you're gay. It doesn't actually affect anything. Because it really, really doesn't. But I never actually got a response until now. And boy, oh boy, was this response really not an answer. As you'll see.
As a Christian who believes the biblical teachings on heterosexual monogamy and that homosexuality is against the laws of God, I do not recognize gay unions as desirable or acceptable in a civilized society.
See, you say you don't find them acceptable or desirable, but you don't say why. You say they're against the teachings of God. Great, fine. But why aren't they? What is the actual objection? God doesn't like them? Why not? What's the problem? What will be the negative consequences? That is what's never stated. What actual, tangible, negative consequences will be the result of homosexuals getting hitched? That's the thing that's never stated.
If such unions were to become commonplace, it would water down and cheapen the whole concept of matrimony, and I wouldn't want that to happen.
What do you mean it would water down the whole concept of matrimony? It would still mean that two people who love each other are getting married. All of a sudden, your marriage means less because two people that you don't like are getting married? Does it mean that all of a sudden your wife and you don't love each other anymore? Does it mean you love each other less? Does it mean you take less care of your children? Does it mean that the bond you share means less? No, it fucking doesn't. I'm sorry, your argument is utter bullshit.
As for not having a tangible effect on my life, what about the lives of generations after me?
You haven't managed to show how gay marriage will have a tangible effect on anybody's life. And until you do, your objections are nothing but bigotry. Your objections are nothing but, I don't like it, gays are icky. That's all you've got, pal. Until you can actually show how homosexuality harms somebody, how it harms somebody who objects to it, how it actually causes damage, you don't have an argument that goes beyond prejudice. That's all you've got. So you can't point to future generations until you can show how it causes harm. I'm sorry, your argument carries no water. Deal with it.
I don't consider this to be bigotry. That's just an empty word that means you actually stand for something.
Horseshit. It's a word that means you stand against something, and for no good reason. What reason do you actually have to object to homosexuality? You've presented none other than God says so, and you can't even prove that God is real. The only arguments you have against homosexuality are that you don't like it. That's it. What do you have? What reason is there to object to homosexuality, to object to gay marriage? What reason do you have? You have no more reason to object to homosexuality than people used to have to argue against blacks. That's all you've got is, I don't like it. That's bigotry, pal. That's prejudice. That's not an empty word. That's you being a jackass.
What God thinks is more important. Homosexuality is antithetical to the Christian worldview.
God doesn't like it. Gays are icky. Prejudice. Bigotry.
Letting people live their lives their way sounds nice, but having been condemned online and in person for daring to express an opinion that homosexuality wasn't the ideal form of sexual behavior, no matter how nicely I put it, has shown me that live and let live doesn't really exist on this issue.
Well, maybe that's because you're not doing live and let live. Your side is trying to pass laws to enforce your way on the rest of us. That's not live and let live. Live and let live is I have my way, you have your way. We'll go our separate ways and do our own thing so long as nobody is getting hurt. That's live and let live. Your side is trying to pass laws on the rest of us to make us live like we're doing your way. That's not live and let live. So you're right, live and let live doesn't exist on this issue, but it's your fault, not ours.
The way things are at the present time, to back down is to get steamrolled.
But steamrolled into what? What happens? What are the consequences? You still haven't said. I don't know what the consequences are if homosexuals get married. What happens to your marriage? What happens? What are the results? What horrible thing occurs if men get married to men and women get married to women? Does your own marriage get penalized a couple of points? What happens?
As for marriage predating the Abrahamic religions, I believe God is the source of the concept of marriage and inspired people to exercise that institution throughout history.
Yeah, you can believe that all you like. But if you want to enforce it with the power of law, you're gonna have to prove it first.
That being said, while I regard gay marriage as a sin against God and having no use for society, and would like to crush it outright, not to mention the joy of giving anti-theism a backhand in the process, I do recognize the possible dangers of further giving an already overpowered government additional powers to rule over the personal choices of its citizens. I think the best way to deal with this bad situation, which really shows how far civilization has fallen, is to get the government out of the marriage business altogether, with the end result being that the gays have their unions and the Christian church has its own marriages.
Do you mean to tell me this entire thing is a semantic argument? That you have no problem with gays getting married so long as we call it a union instead of a marriage? Fuck you!
This should be done with an absolutely clear line of separation and understanding that the groups are separate, and to be in one is to be totally removed from the other.
You faggots and dykes don't get to be married in our club. Oh, but it's not bigotry.
Here are the terms. No Christian gays. Repent or get out of the church. You are in the other team's camp, so don't think you can have one foot in each.
No, really. It's not bigotry. We swear.
No legislation or government interference with gay unions. You are free to go to hell any way you choose.
Oh, he's all heart.
Along with no marriage legislation or government intrusion with the unions, there is zero tolerance of interference and or harassment of Christian preaching, teaching, or otherwise screwing around with Christians speaking and acting on their beliefs in their personal lives and in their businesses, for example. Number 1. A Christian business owner of a bakery refuses services to cater to gay weddings. Instead of whining, "Bigots!" or raising protests, the gay couples simply take their business elsewhere.
In other words, you want us to stop calling you guys out whenever you're misbehaving and acting like jerks towards other people. Well, forget it, pal. If you're going to be acting like assholes, we're going to let the rest of the world know about it. That's just all there is to it. In fact, I seem to recall that your alleged God prefers it if you behave nicely towards other people. Am I wrong about that? Huh? So maybe you might want to consider not acting like an asshole, even if you don't like someone else's sexual behavior. Think about it.
This will give the gays their so-called rights while ensuring the church's freedom of action without being persecuted by the state. Just my idea on how to maintain the church's purity while giving gays the freedom they're demanding.
Oh, no. By all means, have that purity if you want it. By all means. There were other groups out there that had purity. They were known as white supremacists, Nazis, people like that. They had purity as well. But if you don't like that comparison, if you don't find it flattering, the way to avoid it is not to shut me up. The way to avoid it is to not be that kind of person.
I don't think for a second the gay unions will measure up to heterosexual monogamy ordained by God. You'll make a wreck of it for sure. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Are you seriously trying to say now that these attempts to block gay marriage are actually trying to say, well, no, we're stopping you for your own good. It will all come to ruin your marriages, your gay marriages. They will suck. They will be bad things. They will hurt you. This is all a safety precaution. You'll get hurt by trying to unite your lives together. Is that really what you're trying to say? Fuck you. Seriously, does anybody for a moment believe that this is anything but bigotry? Really? Does anybody for a moment even suspect that this is anything but rank prejudice dressed up in verbal diarrhea? Truly? I mean, I asked for an answer and I guess I got it. Really, what it comes down to is that the objection to gay marriage is bigotry. Ultimately, it really is. But I was hoping for so much more. I was really hoping for a real answer, a genuine answer, someone to actually come out and say, well, our objection to gay marriage is actually that if gays are allowed to marry, then the consequence will be X, Y, and Z. And that they would actually be real answers, that something would happen where I'd be like, oh, I never thought of that before. You're right. Those could be actual results, and those could be horrible things that could happen. But no, it just really is rank prejudice. Alas. Oh well. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying, don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's a good chance you're the reason I'm saying it.